Hi, my name is Carl Schelscheit, and welcome to SAT Unscripted. I'd like to share some of my thoughts with you about SAT preparation and the SAT test itself. The topic I'd like to discuss right now is called getting to the end of the test. I think that when a student takes the SAT test, and I think if you haven't taken one for a while or you're going to take one, you can imagine what I'm talking about. One of the worst things that you can hear when you're taking an essay test is when they say, please put down your pencils, and you have 5 problems left that you haven't had a chance to look at. Okay, it is one of the most disheartening situations to be in. You feel like, geez, this thing is going down the tubes. Okay, and so I think, when you think about the SATs and you think about a young person going in to take it, you have to keep their psyche in mind and how important their confidence level is to getting a good score. And so what I want you to think about for a moment is this concept of setting yourself up to feel comfortable throughout the test. And what I mean by that is this, not that you go through and you're necessarily getting every single one right, but knowing what to expect before you get in there and knowing when you've achieved really your maximum. And I think part of creating that good feeling as you're going through the test is getting through each section, getting a look at each question in the test. Okay? And so this is what I would like to propose. I'd like to propose that when you do an SAT test, let's say you're talking about a math section for a second, go as quickly as you can and try to get to the last question. And what I mean by that is this. If you look at a problem that you know is going to really trip you up, or you get to a problem that you know is tripping you up and might really, you might not get it or it might take way too long, get through and skip those problems. And so what I suggest is that you start with number one, obviously, because the easier ones tend to come in the beginning, and you try to get through the test as quickly as you can, trying to get a look at each problem. And what that will allow you to do is this. You kind of go through, you nail all the easy ones, you skip the ones that you think might give you trouble, you get to the end of the test, and then you can reassess for a second. You can say, you know what? I just got a quick look at all 20 questions, let's say. I've already gotten 11 of them. Those were sort of easy layup problems. And now what I need to do is I sort of have a decent score banked already. Got 11 as a raw score. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to work, and I have a few minutes left. I'm going to work on the ones that I may or may not have gotten anyway. And so you go back and you work on all the ones that you sort of had to skip initially, and you're going to wind up picking up a bunch of those. And ultimately, when they say put down your pencils, if you've sort of followed that methodology, you're not going to have this anxious feeling of like, oh my God, maybe there are ones that I could have gotten, but I never got a chance to look at them. No, you've looked at each problem and you've nailed the ones that you know that you could get. And what was left were the ones that you were going to maybe get or maybe not get anyway. And so when they say put down your pencil and you're in that situation, you feel like, okay, I got to see a certain number of them. I feel pretty decent. I looked at the ones, and the ones that I didn't really have too much time for, I got to look at, and I probably wasn't going to get those anyway. And so I think that if you try it that way, you are going to feel so much more comfortable when they say put down your pencil. And if you have that experience all the way through the test, you're going to come out saying, hey, you know what? I don't know if it was perfect or not, but I felt like I really came close to maximizing my score, and that to me is what it's all about.